What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Community Farm Alliance podcast. I'm your host for the Black and Bear series. My name is Vaughn Barnes, and I have with me today Jermo Reese of Frankie's Corner, Little Thoroughbred Crusade out of Fayette County, Kentucky. Jermo, tell us, how did the farm project get started? What was it? How did it get started?
Man, 2015, man, I moved to Kentucky, back to Kentucky from California, after the passing of my grandfather. So actually the room that I sat in, that he passed in, there was a news story that was being featured about a gentleman getting recruited. He was actually getting indicted for recruiting African Americans into gangs. And so what is now our logo, I actually kind of looked at that picture like 3 times, and I was kind of like, really, what are you trying to tell me? And instantly, at that point, the organization was built. So pretty much I sit down, I locked myself up for 2 weeks, and kind of wrote out, did some research, and was really just trying to figure out how to get this program going. Being here from Lexington, Kentucky, man, growing up, had it not been for my grandfather, man, I really wouldn't have gotten into the industry. Love horses, see them all the time. But again, like I say, I would have known how to get into it. So that was, kind of one of the main reasons why I started this organization.
So the industry that you're talking about is equestrian, correct?
Yeah, equine, equestrian, yeah. Yep, that's it.
So what is it that you do with the horses, and what is it that your farm or your farm operation, how does it work?
So pretty much, we board our horses at a farm, and I trailer all my horses up. I rent out a facility twice a week, usually Mondays, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, either or. And pretty much the kids will come to the facility, and we have a 6-module phase program where the kids will come out and they will learn how to do everything from horse safety all the way up to riding.
Get out of here. So you basically teach kids, or is it only kids, or do you do adults?
I teach kids mainly, pretty much 7th through 12th graders. When I first started, man, I started with younger kids. I think you have kids, so around that 10-year-old age, you would think that they were well equipped to have the patience, but what I found out through, years of doing this, that those kids, they just don't have the attention span, because typically I teach in a group setting. So it could be anywhere from 5 to 20 kids that I teach at one time. So, you have one kid that may take the attention of other kids when they're younger. So what I learned to do over the years was I had to kind of revamp, especially with COVID, man. COVID, really kind of helped me revamp, figure out what was working and what was not working, revamp the program. And so now we strictly do from 7th to 12th grade.
Get out of here. I wish I could get my daughter involved with it, but she's too young.
How old is she?
She's only 8 years old.
So with younger kids, pretty much what I do is I have to do one-on-one settings, so that way that I can give them that full attention. So yeah, man, just, let's link up. Let's figure out, we'll get together one weekend. And, pretty much it's funny, man, because even when I'm not doing the program, I do a lot of community engagement. And during my community engagement, man, that's when I really, really spend a lot of time focusing on breaking a lot of myths that adults have. Old horses kick, horses bite. And I'm like, you know what? That's true. That's fine and dandy. But because horses cannot talk, that is just their way of communicating that something is not right. I tell people all the time, you're scared of horses, but you should be scared of humans, because humans have so much emotion that anything could go wrong. With horses want to love you. They want to be that one thing that they can basically appease you, please you, and want to make you feel good because what are you doing and working with them.
Got it. So your granddad got you in the horses. Talk a little bit about that. Was he always a horseman? Did he always own horses? Was he a jockey? Like, how did he get into horses?
So it's, from doing the research after, and people always ask these questions, my grandfather, he used to work for a very famous farm that was called Jonah Bell. It is now, and I think it's owned by the Sheiks, and it's called, I think, the Darby of Jonah Bell or something like that. They kept the original name, but my grandfather, having 5 kids, He literally was going to try to find work to take care of his family. So his brother, who was actually in the industry as well, kind of set him to this guy. And I was reading in Mr. John Bell is his name, was reading through his retirement, a book that he was retiring. And he talked about how my grandfather was literally only supposed to be there for 2 weeks, no longer than a month, right? He ended up spending 40 years working for this uniform.
Wow.
And working there, I mean, he pretty much did it all. You know, back in the day, they didn't really have titles. They did everything, but I guess he would be considered pretty much the farm manager, right? He probably did everything except for the ordering, but when it came to breaking horses, he was known for breaking all the yearlings. He was an exercise rider. He traveled with the crew as far as when they would go to Saratoga and some of these big sales. But for the most part, you know, literally, he was, I guess, I would call him the utility man.
All right, hold on. You mentioned terms, and every now and then when I hear terms that I don't understand, I gotta break this down for my listeners.
Okay.
You said a yearling.
Yearling. So a yearling is pretty much a horse that has been born and been on this earth for a year. So you have your foal, your wingling, your yearling, right? So a foal, F-O-A-L, foal. So a foal is a baby horse. A wingling is a horse that is being weaned from its mother to be independent. And then a yearling is a horse that is about a year, well, pretty much the year to 2 years.
Got you. Now, what happens after a year to 2 years? What do they get called? A horse?
Just a horse, yeah. They're just a horse. Got the horse's name. So you have so when I educate kids, so you have all these terminologies that kids don't understand. You know, they think that all horses are stallions. Well, stallions are male horses that can reproduce. Geldings are horses that are gelded. They basically take their reproductive organ, cut it off. I like to call it brain surgery. And the reason I call it brain surgery is because it's almost like a dog. When you neuter a dog, spay a dog, whatever the case may be, they become very, very, very much more calm.
What's a tail?
A colt, it's a male horse. So you have, when it comes to foals, you have colts, you have fillies. Colts are males, fillies are females. Yep.
Got you.
Yep.
And then the older horse would be a stallion.
Nope. A stallion is just strictly a horse. Their job is to breed.
Got you. A breeding horse.
Yes.
Now, and that's male or female?
No.
Just
so you have male. Mares, you have mares,
okay,
which are female, older female horses.
Got
you have brood mares. What brood mares are, their job is to basically keep a baby. So, I mean, you know, now where you have in the humans where you have surrogates, brood mares can be surrogate mothers for horses.
Kentucky Double Dollars, a program of Community Farm Alliance supporting Kentucky farmers and families with over $300,000 in nutrition benefits matched in 2021. For more information or to find a location near you, visit www.kentuckydoubledollars.org.
And we're back. We were just talking during the break about Frankie's Corner, Little Thoroughbred Crusade, and all the kids that you have worked with. Go a little bit into, even I've seen some of those college kids and high school kids. Tell me a little bit more about that and some of those people that are out there.
Well, I mean, for the most part, like I say before that, you know, we kind of revamped after COVID and literally just started doing 7th to 12th graders. Well, we also partnered up with UK Manners. We became a junior Manners chapter. But what that does is the junior Manners chapter gives us an extra component where we were already teaching life skills, but now we're adding the soft skills of resume writing and all that great stuff. So that's kind of where we kind of revamped and went with the 7th through 12th graders, plugging with the Manners chapter. It gave those college students the opportunity to work with the younger students. When we started doing things like resume writing, the elevator pitches and things like that. It was very imperative to me that the younger kids can see how the older kids that are in equine, how it all kind of goes hand in hand. So those college kids got to get that experience, so I think this was actually the first year that we kind of kept our kids. Now, the way the program works is once a kid is in our program, they're in our program for lifetime. We don't kick them out. A lot of people always ask, well, how long does a program take? When you're working with horses, when you're working with kids, I mean, it's a continuous learn thing. Me been doing this since I was 8 years old. I still learn. I work with people, love working with people because that gives me the opportunity to learn a different way of doing things. It's no different when we work with the kids. I like to call the kids mentors or student mentors because what typically happens is naturally boys always want to be better than girls. Girls always want to be better than boys. So a lot of times, hypothetically speaking, if I was teaching a maneuver like lunging, right? There might be a kid that it might be their second week in the program, where another kid might be their second day, but they picked up on this skill so much easier. But what we do is we let the kid that has picked up on the skill teach how they learned what they were learning, because again, I make it look easy. They always like, oh, Mr. Jermo, you've been doing this all your life. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because I always mess with them because you know how kids are. Then I always be like, yeah, man, I was born in the 1900s. They be like, oh my God, you're old. I'm like, okay, that's what it is. Anywho, we just kind of use that camaraderie so the kids can learn because again, where I've been doing this a long time, yeah, I do make things look easy. I do it a lot more calm where they're scared because, you got 1,000-pound animal that you're trying to get to do something that you've never done before. So, that's why I say I really like having the junior manor and the manners piece come together. So that way that when they come together, literally, they're learning from each other because a lot of times the older kids learn from the young kids. When I say older kids, I'm talking about the college kids. They learn from the younger kids as well.
The manners program, what does manners stand for?
Don't quote me on this, but I think it's minorities in ag, natural, and related and resources science or something like that.
Yeah, natural resources and related sciences.
There you go.
Right, yeah, as soon as you said it, it made me click. Yeah. But again, for the people that are watching and listening, some people are like, manners, what is manners? Like, saying your grace? Like, no. Manners is it's an organization that helps minorities get into natural resources and the other agriculture related sciences.
Yep.
And do you work with the manners program that's out of UK, not UK, K-State?
No, I don't. I didn't even know that K-State had a chapter. But I typically work, I'm here in Fayette County, so I typically work with the UK manners.
Can I tell you something that's really helpful? So Marcus Bernard, Dr. Marcus Bernard.
Yeah.
He's over at K-State. He's the one that runs the manners program nationwide. So like, it's crazy that you didn't know that.
Well, let me take you back. Now that you said, I remember, but I think because their chapter is not as active.
Got it.
UK is right here in my back door. So literally,
it's easy.
Yeah, it is. And then on top of that,
come over there.
Yeah, UK chapter, they've been the national chapter of the year, I think 8 years consecutively or something like that. So, they
got active kids.
Yeah,
they got active kids. Just talk a little bit about the name and the meaning.
So because it's a mouthful, I kind of either chalk it up to Frankie's Corner or FCLTC. So if I break it down, when I was, like I say, I sat down and locked myself up in a room, and I was trying to think of these names that just kind of grab you. Well, I still had to pay homage to my grandfather, right? So my grandfather worked at Kingland for over 40 years as well. Simultaneously working at Jonah Bell. If you see this picture right here, this is actually my very favorite picture of my grandfather, and I use this to teach with because he's doing a lot of stuff wrong. But I say all the time, this horse is not Pegasus. He's not going to fly away. But if you really zoom in onto the picture, he's got the shape wrapped around his wrist, which is unsafe. But again, Let me break the name down. Frankie's Corner. My grandfather worked at Kingland for 40 years.
Francis Wilson.
Francis Wilson Sr.
Francis Wilson Sr. Got it.
Yep. He worked at Kingland. And it's funny, well, if you know my grandfather, if you saw him at home, typically most of the time he was asleep. He pretty much worked around the clock. During breeding season, he was a night watch. So he worked at Kingland. And back in the day, they used to hit a gavel in between horses. Well, my grandfather would literally sit in a chair, close his eyes, take him a quick nap, and they hit the gavel. So I guess in memory of my grandfather, he has a plaque that's in the corner of the sales pavilion that says Frankie's Corner. Now, the little thoroughbred comes from, he was one of 18 siblings. And one particular year, all of the families had to come up with their family name. Well, naturally, my grandfather was Frank's Thoroughbreds. So that was our immediate family name. The Crusade part stands for a movement towards positive things. So I kind of put all those things together. Yeah, never doing a nonprofit, did not know, should have been one or two names. I've got this long, extravagant game. So when people are really trying to say it, it's always a tongue twister to them. So I'm just like, you could just say Frankie's Corner, just to chalk it up. But I just wanted to pay homage for all the hard work that my grandfather's done, the memory of all of his 18 siblings, our 17 siblings. And then again, this complete organization was about movement of positive things for our minority students.
Yeah, I mean, I like watching the videos and the fact that all the kids get to do this stuff for free. It is so crazy. But for the years of you doing this, have you ever run into a situation of racism with bringing minority kids into the equine industry? Because you don't really see that.
You know, I mean, our program is pretty unique. One is unique, I can't go without giving homage to, there was Miss Connie Rayford, who worked for the Fayette County Public Police Department. She started a program out at the Kentucky Horse Park. It was called the Mustang Troop. Ran that program for 20 years. So when I came back, those were the first people that I wanted to go talk to. And one of the biggest things that I caught from that conversation was they did not have students that returned. So basically, you kind of give these kids a summer of learning how to do this. Then they have to wait a whole 9 months to come back. And I asked her, did she ever have any students that were really good and picked up on it really well? She said she did, but they never, ever came back. Cool. I'm going to take a note out of that book. And what I did was I made this program year round. When you talked about the racism, I deal with racism from many aspects. Because this is program, it's so important to me, I try to grow it, right? And someone had went and given me this gentleman's name who runs one of the top farms in the state. And we go and have a conversation, and, he talks about his background of him growing up in another country, and, he didn't have the things that he needed, so he decided to go work on a horse farm. So, in this meeting, I'm thinking that, we're kind of on the same page. Well, when I follow up to get some information about a foundation that funds programs like mine, he ends up telling me, he said, you know what, man, it looks like that, this is just a passion project to you. And, you're just learning. You don't know much about it. I was like, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. Not only that, but, even at one of the schools, in Fayette County, we have, schools, and if you want to rent out a school, then literally all you have to do is go to a program, you put your information in. Well, I worked at this school, and this principal literally told me in so many ways and was trying to find every way not for me to use this facility, and said, listen, we don't have a custodian, so you need to find a custodian to lock this building up. And I'm like, there's the caregiver that lives above this facility. Why can they not lock it up? Those are just some of the small things that I have to deal with versus even, having a meeting about a program that I have coming up in November. a lady told me, she was like, as a mom, I wouldn't want to bring my kid all the way just for have this competition. I'm kind of like, in my mind, I'm just like, well, this is not something for your kid, because it sounds like you have the means to pay for this type of training, where the people that I'm trying to serve are people that are interested in this industry, but do not have the means. Because again, when you talked about equestrian sports, how many African Americans do you see in equestrian sports?
Right.
Very few. But a lot of times it's because our kids don't know how to get into it, right? So that's where our program comes into play. Is, yes, we can give you an introduction. And it's funny because even now that I think about it, working with UK, I've come to find out you spend your tuition,
man,
as an equine student, but you only get 30 hours of hands-on instruction.
Wow.
How crazy is that, man?
I knew it was going to go into like how much hands-on experience do you get, but then they want to turn you loose to the real world with barely no hands-on experience. How you going to get a job, but you spent your money to get into the oh my goodness.
I mean, I've tried to reach out to, because think about it like this, man. When you go start a new job, what typically happens within the first 2 weeks or month of your job?
Well, they're supposed to onboard you and then give you all the proper training so you can do your job successfully. I used to always tell my interns this: it don't even matter what your degree is per se, because once you get into the job, they're gonna say, all right, cool, do you know how to do this stuff? Great. Now this is how we want you to do it.
Right.
And as long as you do it like this, you should be successful.
And that's the issue with the industry. I mean, because if you think about it now, most of these farms have a lot of H2s. What is it?
H2A workers.
They have the H2A workers, right? But they don't even take the time to train the local people here. So, I've had this huge push of, they always give the second chances, right? So, Blackbird has a program. I'm like, okay, cool, fine, dandy. I mean, I appreciate the program. However, a lot of those individuals will take that as a stepping stone and then move on, right? Because, again, and I've always said this, find those individual kids that have the actual passion for it, and they will find the means to supplement the rest of their income. Because when you go to these jobs, typically what happens is on these farms is literally you'll go work, they'll find out that you cannot keep up the speed, and it becomes a sink or swim situation. Once the season is over with, they make it through the season. 9 times out of 10, they let you go.
Right.
Because again, they don't take that adequate time to train you. So, I mean, it's, you talk about the racism. I mean, again, we know that we're going to deal with racism. I could care how much education that you have. I don't care how articulate you can come and speak and present. You still get those questions, right? Of what makes you capable? Well, what doesn't make me capable? I can come out here and show you more than I can tell you. Same way as the gentleman said, oh, this was a passion project. Okay, if this is a passion project, how has it in 8 years, I have honestly impacted over 20,000 kids' lives? When people need somebody to bring a horse out, who do they call? They typically call me, because that's what I do. Even the school that teaches this type of stuff in Fayette County, they don't even bring horses out.
Wow. Wow.
It's a lot, man. I mean, so, it used to bother me a lot. But now it's just one of those things where I really have to think about the kids that I impact on a regular basis.
Yes.
Yes. There was a older lady that I had asked her to write something for me that, very influential in the communities. They go to her for history or whatever the case may be. And I asked her to write something. She called me. She said, Jermo, they didn't accept the proposal. And I said, I asked her, I said, why? She said, to be honest, she said, you're not out shaking hands and, kissing babies and things like that. And I said, I don't have the time. I spend all of my time with students from the program. So me going out and hobnobbing, can't do it.
Did you know that CFA is a nonprofit organization that supports family farms, equity work, food access, and policy work across Kentucky? If you're interested in supporting any of this work, please go to cfaky.org and go to our donate tab in order to donate or become a member today. We really appreciate any and all help that we get, and it goes back to helping both farmers and consumers across the Bluegrass State. For more information, go to www.cfaky.org. Once again, that's www.cfaky.org. Thank you. And now back to our show.
For Frankie's Corner, Little Thoroughbred Crusade, what's the future? What do you see with this? Are you leaning into getting your own space? Are you moving into having a family member take over where you have left off? Talk a bit about where the future is for Frankie's Corner.
So it's multifaceted, man. So ultimately, I would like to do this as a full-time job. And when I say a full-time job, if you go back and look at studies, working with horses is very, very beneficial from a mental health standpoint and from a physical standpoint, right? So the future looks like Frankie's Corner, Little Thoroughbred having their own facility, having their own farm, where we can do rehabilitation for, second chances, PTSD, get past certified so that we can start working with individuals that have physical disabilities, mental disabilities, but serve those individuals of color and those kids that look like us. I think that's most beneficial because when you think about it, even in the state of Kentucky, there's only 6 minority educators from an agriculture standpoint. I'm actually in school to be the 7th, which God does everything for a reason. 7 is the number of completion, right?
Right.
So, right, where I would be the 7th, for me, it would do it all. Just having our own facility where, families could come out and be taught and figure out if this is something that they want to do. Even while I'm out, I have adults that ask me all the time, do I give lessons? Yes, I do. I will give lessons, and I think, where kids want to learn from somebody that looks like them, but adults always want to learn from somebody that looks like them as well. It's ultimately about having our own facilities. Right now, we have 4 horses. At some point in time, I definitely would start breeding, training horses, and selling them. But again, it's all about in God's time. So, I'm really just trying to be patient, kind of get my foot in the door as far as learning who the right people are, finding the right piece of land where, we can grow. Because deep down in my soul, I feel like once we get our own facility, we're going to grow at a rapid pace.
Now, would you want the facility to stay in Lexington or in Fayette County, or would you move it anywhere around the state?
I mean, I would like to have a home base. It doesn't necessarily have to be in Fayette County. I'm okay with surrounding counties, but it's always, even. I talk about me sitting down and writing for 2 weeks, but I know in Compton, California, there is a program that's called Compton Junior Posses. They kind of started similar to the same way as mine to keep kids from being recruited to gangs, but that program has grown substantially where, it just started out with skills where a lot of those kids are actually now, they're in jumping competitions. So I would like to take a trip around the world in the summer, Frankie's Corner, and we go to I know Philadelphia has a program, I know Compton has a program where we can literally go around and just use each other to grow, right? Because I think in England, there was a gentleman that started a polo club inside the city. Where, yeah. So, again, these programs are out there, but they're not put on a national scale, right? Yeah, we look at the Concrete Cowboy, right? From
the movie.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yep, movie.
A lot of that is based on a true story. And, I used to be in a Facebook group with the lady that was in that program. But again, for the longevity of the program, it's all about connecting with people that are doing things that you're doing so that we can all grow. We don't never think about just ourselves. We think about the industry as a whole. We think about our community as a whole and how we can honestly bring us all together for a good common goal and a good purpose. And again, I use the word crusade, movement towards positive change.
Got to be positive change. I love that, man. I love that. So just to speak on impact, you mentioned 20,000 kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where did that number come from and over how much time?
Pretty much during the whole duration of me having the program in 2015. So again, I go to schools all the time. I go to community events. Once people hear about me, they ask me to come to all of, you have, hypothetically speaking, Thunder or Globe or something like that. People ask me to come to events like that. So, anytime anybody asks me to come to events like that, I typically try to come out. When I first started, I would do it for free. Now that I have more horses and I have to travel longer distance, I do ask for a little bit of an honorarium. So that way, you got to carry your insurances and things like that, which people don't understand. So, again, for us as a people, we have more of a microscope put on us. So I try to have all the right, proper things in place so that, all
in case something go wrong.
Yes, sir.
You already right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dot your I's and cross your T's.
Yep. It's true, man. So, and the thing about it is, you get into some of these places and you don't know what the situation is going to look like. So you got to go and kind of scope them out. And then you have kids that are excited and they're running. I mean, all my horses are great that I take out. I mean, all my horses are great, period. But the horses I take out, they're pretty docile. They understand. Once we throw a saddle on, we get out of the community, they know it's work time. Yeah, it's work time.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Now, I always ask this question, and the people that listen to the podcast, they know. Blackberry series, that's right. Jermo, what berry best represents Frankie's Corner Little Thoroughbred Crusade?
Strawberries, because everywhere we go, man, we try to leave a little bit of ourselves where we go. I teach the kids that, even when we're together, we try to give a little bit of information that you've learned to some other kid that you've come in contact with. So, yeah, I would probably say the strawberry will probably be stronger because it's got all those seeds and we can, just knock off a little seed and drop it everywhere we go, man, and, leave a little part of us everywhere we go.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you might have, mentioned a berry that the horses like or a berry that that attributes to your grandfather, but I like that one. Where all the kids go, leave a little information and hopefully have something sprout from there.
Yes,
all right. So, Mr. Reese, is there anything else that you would say to encourage let's encourage the people to donate or contribute to the program? What would be something that you would say to help encourage people to donate and contribute to your program?
I mean, I always say kids are our future, right? Kids are kind of different from the way we're raised up. So I encourage everyone, you can go to frankiescorner.org and send a donation. That's one way to do it. I mean, but most beneficial, we have a program coming up November the 11th.
Right.
And it's called Equine is for All. So Equine is for All is pretty much a day where young individuals from 7th to 12th grade can come out. They can learn what we do. We've got a soft yes that the mounted unit of the Lexington Police Department is going to come out. We're trying to get a lot of the teams from UK to come out to come and do some demonstrations, but we're going to have some workshops. We're going to have food. We're going to have raffles. At the end of the day, we're going to do a competition from everything that they learned earlier in the day, and they will win cash prizes.
Hold on, let me ask this question because this is something that I know we discussed a little bit, but we didn't really go deep into it. If you do all of this for free, how do you pay for it?
Everybody, that's the $1 million question, man. And if everybody asks, if I could get paid every time somebody asks me that question, but I am an umpire official. So I umpire.
Wait.
Yeah.
You work as an umpire for baseball, the longest sport?
Yep. I umpire 9 months out of the year, so that way that these young individuals can come learn for free. Now, yes, here and there, I do apply for grants here and there. Yeah. But, a lot of times when it comes to horses and things like that, it's almost as if they want you to already have your own facilities or fixing up a facilities and things like that. But the easiest way for me to make us self-sustainable is for me to umpire baseball. And literally, I mean, in the summertime, when the kids are not with me, I go really hard, and I'll go from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10, 11 o'clock at night. So that's it, man. I mean, this program means that much to me. Spreading my grandfather's legacy means that much to me because I feel like that nobody knew his name. Everybody knew his face because he was highly publicized on the news, magazines, and the newspapers from like 1980 to 2004. And if an article didn't have his name on there of, Frank or Francis Wilson holding, I don't know, winning colors sold for, $100 million, then people didn't know his name. So, it's all about keeping his legacy alive. I am a third generation. My little cousin is fourth. My great nephew will be fifth. They tend to like this currently, but I don't push them. No different than I don't push any other kid. I want this to be something that you have a passion for so you can be amazing at this.
The skills of a horseman. Well, y'all, that's it. We got to wrap. It's time for us to get up out of here. But as I always say, real change comes from the ground up. And then until next time, peace.
From the ground up, man. That's the way we teach the kids. If you can't make a horse move from the ground, once you get on the saddle, it's going to be a completely different situation. Y'all take it easy. Appreciate y'all time.
We out of here. Love it.